Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight, thanks to Dorkside Toys, I am taking a look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Princess Leia Organa Hoth, Lando Calrissian Skiff Guard, and Rio Durant. Vives and I already took a look at most of the rest of this wave. There's a lot of figures in this case. L337, Val, Patrol Trooper, and then Dengar. Dengar is the other new figure in this case. I took a look at him about a month ago. And here I am coming around to review the rest of the wave because, oh, it's been a while since I opened a Star Wars figure. I'm getting shakes. Standard packaging for Star Wars, the Black Series all the way across. The black, the red in the background. The figures, you can see most of what they come with. Pretty pictures down here. 75, 76, 77. On the back, those pretty drawn pictures again. Bios for each character. Down here's the warnings. The Unreadables probably says something like, a Star Wars figure a week keeps the plastic dealer. Oh, where am I going with that? On the end, that weird design choice where they can never fit the whole name onto the end of it. You got Princess, you got Lando Ke, and you got Rio Durant. On the top, nothing at all. On the bottom, some barcodes, some legalese, but I'm gonna get these open where I can hold them better and see what's going on here. And there we go, all out of the package. And oh, I got new stuff for my Star Wars display. Fantastic all the way around, but there are some gripes. Aren't there always? Taking a look at Leia first, if you have the Target exclusive Bespin Escape Leia, you have about 75% of this figure already. Same torso under the vest, same upper legs, same knees, but you get down to the boots and Bespin Escape has pants on the outside of her boots. This has the Hoth boots on the outside. On the Hoth Leia, on her left arm, she has some kind of communicator. Bespin Escape, she doesn't have that. And then up at the head, I'm guessing this is the same face sculpt and the printing is very similar, but it's the hair that really changes things. But that's not to take away from the Hoth Leia at all. In fact, I think she was the first one announced with the vest on it, so all they had to do was essentially take the vest off and you have a variant, an exclusive, easy enough to do. I'll take as many Leias as you want to put out. But the padding of this costume, uniform, it's done really well in plastic form. The vest fits really well. It does like to ride up a little bit, easy enough to push back down. But then the insignia on her vest, the different colors right here, just nicely applied. I can see it without the camera. And if it's good enough for my old blind ass to see it without the help of glasses or anything, then it's done pretty well. And then I like the silver done on her wrist thing right here. Otherwise, I kind of wish there was a wash, something to bring out the detail a little bit. It gets kind of lost in the white of the costume, of the gray of the boots. It's just kind of plain, but that is more than made up for up in the head. I can't say this enough. The Hasbro stuff with their new photo reel with the face printing, it can't be beat. They are kicking it out of the park. Is that how that term goes? Kicking it out of the park? Even if the likeness is a little bit off, and we've known for a long time that the sculpts are pretty much there on the Star Wars characters. You just got to have nice paint on top of that to turn it up a notch, and they've turned it up a notch. They've turned it up 2 notches, I think. Now we need to get them to do a little bit of detail painting in the hair, just to bring out that, like I talked about the body, bring out the detail a little bit. And then there's Lando. I love Return of the Jedi. I love the costumes. I skip a couple parts here and there, but getting Lando in this uniform costume, disguise, yeah, this was my second most wanted Lando. Just the grooves on the torso, the hammered look to the armor pieces, this belt coming around with the lower tunic just being a softer material, getting out of the way. Love it. Wrinkles in the pants, the boots, the straps coming around the legs, pretty much the same thing on the back, the straps coming behind. And I like the paint job they've given the metal here. And I like the weathered paint job on the lower tunic here. I just wish it continued down to kind of break up again. It's not a stark white, it's kind of an off eggshell white. And then the boots should have had a little bit more dirtiness to it to match up the rest of the costume. But it still looks great overall. Same thing for Lando's head. I feel like it's a little bit off, and it may be because of the bags under the eyes, the darkness under the eyes. It looks like he's wearing some eyeliner or something. He's just come from a Cure concert, something. Don't get me wrong, this is miles better than the Empire one we already have, but there's just something, just a little tiny little, and I hate to gripe about it because they did so good here. But then there is Rio, and this character, not being from my childhood, I don't know it on sight as well as the other 2 characters I'm reviewing. But I'm gonna say it's pretty damn accurate to the movie from what I can tell. Some grooves right here, some seams coming around, extra belts, extra harness, so much detail, so much design. Paint is a little bit flat, as always, but it's nicely punched in where it needs to be punched in, like here on the harness. There's a little bit of dirtiness to the belt. The skin parts, like the feet, it has a little bit of gradient going from a lighter color to the gray. Yeah, they may have went out of their way to make it interesting, but it's interesting. So I'm good with all that. I'm gonna knock it out of my and it just continues on up to the head. It's interesting. It's an alien look. Seeing it here, he has kind of a bored look to his face. I would have liked to seen just a bit more emotion, but it works for what it is. Now, I'm not quite sure if the eyes here are printed on there. I was told at Toy Fair that alien creatures with deep crevices or pokey out parts, they're a little bit harder to do the photoreal process too. But what can I say? It looks great. The whole thing looks great. But I've noticed as we've gotten further and further into the line, their detents are getting really tough. And I appreciate that they put them in there to keep the stiffness to the joints so they just won't loosen up and fall over. But Lando, the ankles were really tight until I worked them out a little bit. The knees on him are looser. Leia's really tight, loose on Lando. But I do have a stuck joint at the shoulder right here. I can't seem to get it to free up. It's got some movement, but I don't know if that's the peg moving up and down or if that is something about to break. And then the ankles on Rio are tight as hell too. You can see kind of some whiteness to the peg. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can see it. It looks like the peg is kind of pulling whenever I put the foot down trying to move the ankle. There's a little bit of flex that I do not like on such a small joint. But they did something really interesting with Lando's shoulder pads here. They are actually attached to the torso and the arm, but you wouldn't know it from moving it around. There's actually a ball joint down at the bottom of the shoulder pad, and then there's two straps. It's holding it to the torso. Once the ball joint is popped all the way in, it just kind of rotates around with the arm. Now, if you get crazy with it, it's going to pop out. Of course, you can't go all the way around. And at first I thought, oh, that is not going to work worth a damn. It works worth a damn, believe me. And then with Rio, all kinds of interesting articulation here, but the odd choice I find is they put bicep swivels on the right arms, no bicep swivels on the left. But when you get down to it, it's really spinning meat. You have rotation at the shoulder, you have rotation at the bicep, and you have rotation at the elbow. The only thing I can assume is Hasbro thought the guns would go in the right hand, and it has the cutout right there to get more elbow articulation, and they wanted that to rotate down with the lower arm here. That way it's easier to get a two-handed grip on the pistols, maybe? That's all I can think of. And then there's that. The goggles don't really like to stay on. I like it in the up position, but you get too crazy and it just comes off, see? Oh, that just happened on its own. And then Rio has kind of the same thing going on with his holster. There's a hole in the leg. There's a peg on the back. Goes down, stays pretty good. You get too crazy with the leg, though, that's going to pop out. And I'm okay with that because it keeps from either pulling on the belt or breaking something off, shearing, tearing, whatever. Going over articulation, I've already been over this in another review, but real quick, there's a dumbbell joint up at the top of the neck, ball joint at the bottom of the neck. Not a lot of down, not a lot of up, not a lot of tilt. There's some swivel. Hinge of swivel at the shoulder comes up, swivels around. Hinge of swivel at the elbow comes up past 90, swivel. Hinge at the wrist does go up and down on the gun holding hand. Ball joint at the waist, she can come forward, back, side, side. Ball coming out to the hip, leg goes all the way up, back, out. Swivel at the thigh. Double knee kicks her own ass. There you go. Hinge at the ankle, back. Forward is not that great. And then forward facing pin for rocker. Lando has the new neck too. I think there's a dumbbell joint at the top of the neck, ball joint down going into the torso. Can touch his chin to his chest, look up, tilt, swivel. I have to work on the right shoulder, but the left shoulder comes up that far, swivels around. Hinge of swivel elbow comes up a little past 90, swivels up and down wrist on the trigger finger hand, even though he doesn't have a gun, but we'll give him a pass. Ball at the mid torso goes forward, goes back, side. The skirt piece is softer, gets up out of the way, so his leg comes up about that far. Back, out, swivel at the thigh, double knee, all the way up. Hinge at the ankle, goes back, goes forward, and forward facing pin for rocker. And then for Rio, there is a dumbbell joint in the neck right there, but has a lot of clearance at the bottom and top. Can shift forward and down, can look up, shifts to the side, swivel. Now it does have a rubber piece coming down to the harness, so you can't get too far with it right there. 4 sets of shoulders with hinge and swivel comes up that far. They all swivel around. Like I talked about, the right arms have a bicep swivel. The left arms do not. Hinge and swivel in all 4 elbows come up past 90. All 4 swivel. Hinge and swivel at the wrist. On the back right one, it's up and down. On the back front one, it's side to side. On the left back one, it's side to side. And the left front one is up and down. I don't know what decisions were made to put it like that, but it's okay. It works. There's a ball joint in the mid-torso and a ball joint at the waist. Both of them combined, you can get some crunch, nice arc, some tilt both ways. Ball joint coming out to the shoulder. Hip goes all the way forward, a little bit back, all the way out. Hinge and swivel at the knee, so it only comes up a little past 90. Then there's swivel there. Hinge at the ankle goes back, goes forward, and yes, even there, forward-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, Leia comes with this pair of welding goggles. Nice color to them, nice sculpt. I wish it was a little bit more rubbery though, because you go to put it on her head, a little bit tight to stretch down. But once you get them on there, yep, that works. She comes with whatever this is. Is that a hydro spanner? Is that a welder of some kind? I should have looked that up before I got on camera. It is a nice sculpt. It works for what it is. It fits in her hand, and she's ready for some maintenance on the Falcon. But if it is time to kick some ass, she also comes with a blaster, and we've seen this several times before. And even with her tiny little sculpted hand, you can get that down in there. You can't quite get the trigger finger into the trigger guard, but that works. Lando comes with a vibro axe, and I believe, let me go grab this real quick. This is the one that came with the Slave Leia a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And here's the one that comes with Lando. Different sculpt. It's close, but there's some differences there. And then on top of that, there is some nice kind of glittery metallic paint added right here, just to change it up a little bit from the rest of the gray. And even though Lando has a trigger finger, I'm okay with that going what seems to be a trigger right there. I guess to vibro the axe, that sounds kinky. And then he comes with his helmet. Nice brown color here. Kind of a beaten metal paint job around here and on the brim. Some bone look, some stretchy, some rubber. It looks pretty good for what it is. But if you're an OCD kind of guy that has to have everything lined up, like his nose directly between those horns right there and then getting the head, you may have kind of a crazy time with this. Because then there's also the Adam's apple that you have to keep in the front of the neck. Because if, like I said, if you're into that kind of stuff, you'll notice it when it's off. It's also a pain in the ass to get the brim down over his eyes where he's kind of hiding inside the helmet. I kind of feel like the front strap comes down too low. I want it to raise up a little bit and hide his face. And I may do that. Maybe some heating. There may be some slicing involved right here, just to make it more disguise-like, where he's kind of just peering through. And then I already talked about the goggles with Rio. Those are actually translucent red, so you can see through them whenever you put them down over his eyes. The problem here, like with Leia's goggles, they're just not stretchy enough to get comfortably around on his head. And it works, but ooh, I'm afraid to leave it on there for too long. He's got this cool blaster, pistol, rifle type thing. Not a lot of paint to it, but I dig the sculpt a lot. At first I thought this was the stock folded around, but it looks like it's a part of the front. And that's easy enough to get in both hands just by having the front grip and the back grip. Perfect. And I nearly missed this. He also comes with this Death Trooper type pistol. I don't think it's the sculpt from the Death Trooper, but close. And this was shoved in his hip holster, but the problem here is I don't think this holster was made for this pistol. It's got this front magazine or part or extra handle sticking down right here, and you go to put it in there, and the hole is too small for the pistol. You have to get it in there at an angle, poking through, and then force it forward. I'll probably leave that there for the rest of my Rio having days. For comparison, here is Hoth Leia with the Bespin Escape Laura? What the hell am I talking about? Leia. I said it before, same body, but I like the bigger feet on Hoth Leia. It's easier for her to stand up, I think. And here she is with Hoth Luke from the Wampa pack. This looks good. It's a smaller Leia, where she's supposed to be, but it doesn't feel too small like we got with, was it Slave Leia? That felt really tiny. Here's Skiff Guard Lando with Bespin Lando, and man, we just barely missed the cutoff to get a photo real head on the Bespin Lando. Looking at the head side by side, a definite difference. Just nicer skin tone, details, lifelike realistic features to it. It would take some heat, but you could swap heads. The hair is a little bit off, and you'll have to do some dremeling because I think the head ball on this one is smaller than the head ball on this one. But if you've got an extra Skiff Guard Lando for a head swap with Bespin, then you need an extra Beckett for an extra head to go onto this body and the legs, I think, and then the mask. Then you have an alternate version of Beckett from Solo. Like I said earlier, Rio isn't burned into my brain as much as Leia and Lando. From the movie, I got the idea that he was a little bit smaller than this, but this works. This is slowly turning my brain around to thinking that he was this large. Compared to Val, yeah, this works for me. And then, as always, here they are with Gus.
On top of the Death Star, all covered in spice.
So at the end of the day, Hasbro has contributed 3 more awesome Star Wars figures to my Star Wars display. I love all 3 of them. That's all I got, really. They need to continue this case assortment. Out of a case of 8, 7 of them were new characters, or new iterations of characters. The only holdover to this case was Bespin Han. There's nothing wrong with that. I need another Bespin Han to try to make a comic book Luke in his yellow jacket or something. And then the rest of these, I'm going to have to get a couple doubles. I need a couple of patrol troopers. I need a couple of Landos to try to do some head swaps. But on top of that, Dengar is the last releasing bounty hunter, which completes a set or a group or a team. And then the case also containing Rio kind of finishes off the solo crew for the most part. You know, the core team of Han and Chewie and Beckett and Val and then Rio. So yeah, maybe that's why I subconsciously waited a month before getting to the rest of the case, because I know the next case won't be out for a few months and it's going to be a drought of new Star Wars figures. Yeah, time is good, but man, having cases without peg warmers in them, that's even better. I mean, Hasbro is on the right track here, both with photo real and their case pack outs. Keep on keeping on. If you can bring me this kind of quality, I'll keep buying them. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.